Some stories do not begin with fireworks. Some stories begin quietly, gently, like a soft breeze that no one notices at first. And the story the world believes it saw between Dylan Wang and Bai Lu is exactly that kind of story. Not loud, not forced, not declared, but felt. From their very first day on set, the atmosphere changed. Crew members would later describe an automatic shift in energy, something warm yet unexplainable. Two actors who had never worked together before suddenly appeared to move with a strange familiarity, as if their paths had crossed long before any script brought them together. The earliest moment captured was simple but unforgettable. A test shoot, nothing serious, just lighting checks and small exchanges. Dylan leaned closer to fix something on his costume. Bai Lu looked up at the same time, and for a second their eyes met with an intensity no one expected. There was no dramatic music, no spotlight, but something in that split second made the staff look at one another. It was as if an invisible spark leapt between them, something that did not need words to announce itself. Later that day, while practicing a dialogue scene, Bai Lu stumbled over a line and began laughing. Her laughter was melodic, the kind that fills a room, and everyone laughed along. But Dylan did not laugh immediately. He watched her first, a slow smile forming on his face, the kind of smile that comes from simply admiring someone's joy. It lasted only a moment, but the camera captured it, and when that behind-the-scenes clip was released, fans replayed that small smile again and again. During another practice, they were going through blocking movements. They were supposed to stand apart, facing opposite directions. But as they walked through the choreography, they kept glancing back at each other. It was almost unconscious, as if gravity itself tugged at them, pulling their eyes toward one another, drawing them closer even when the script demanded distance. The director jokingly told them to focus. Both laughed, but the moment stayed in the minds of many. The jacket moment became legendary long before the drama aired. It was late evening, the wind was picking up, and Bai Lu hugged her arms for warmth. Crew members were preparing props, too busy to notice. But Dylan noticed instantly. He took a step back, removed his jacket, and placed it gently on her shoulders. She looked up, surprised, and the warmth between them deepened. There was no performance in that gesture. No cameras aimed directly at them. It was pure instinct, and instinct speaks louder than words. There was another striking moment during a rehearsal for a dramatic scene. The tension between their characters needed to feel charged, complicated, full of longing. The director encouraged them to try exploring raw emotion. What happened next became one of the most replayed snippets online. They stood inches apart, eyes locked, breathing slow and steady. A hush fell over the room. For a few heartbeats, no one moved. The connection was so palpable that even the crew felt it. It was as if everything around them faded away and only the two of them remained in the room. When the director finally shouted cut, they both exhaled at the same time, as if returning from some invisible place they had gone together. That moment lit the flame for millions of fans. A memorable day came during a rain scene. The weather was cold, the artificial rain even colder, and Bai Lu shivered between takes. Dylan, soaked as well, tried to cheer her up. He made faces behind the camera, whispered jokes only she could hear, and tried to distract her from the icy water falling around them. In the behind-the-scenes footage, fans noticed how he never took his eyes off her even once, as if making sure she remained comfortable. When she started laughing uncontrollably after one of his jokes, Dylan let out a soft laugh too, the kind that surprises even the person laughing. That moment became one of the clearest signs that their dynamic was not just professional, but deeply personal. Another scene required Bai Lu to rest her head gently against Dylan's shoulder. It was supposed to be a short 3-second shot. But every time Bai Lu placed her head, Dylan's posture seemed to soften completely, as if he forgot where the acting ended and where reality began. The director had to reshoot it several times, not because they made mistakes, but because the emotion between them felt too raw. There was something in the way he tilted his head slightly to rest against hers. Something in the way she closed her eyes, as if forgetting the world for a moment. That small gesture became one of the clearest reasons why fans began to believe there was something real unfolding. Then came the unscripted moments. Moments with no cameras rolling officially. Moments that were caught only by the phones of staff members who were simply there at the right time. In one clip, Bai Lu stood on set eating a snack while waiting for her cue. Dylan approached her without saying a word, casually took a bite of the exact same snack in her hand, then walked off with a grin. Bai Lu stared at him in shock before bursting into laughter, calling after him playfully. The entire staff erupted in amusement. But fans noticed one thing above all. That kind of comfort does not appear overnight. It grows when two people slowly build trust, familiarity, and warmth. Another standout moment occurred during a break, when Bai Lu sat on a low platform, scrolling through her phone. Dylan walked over, sat beside her, and leaned so closely that their shoulders almost touched. They talked quietly, smiling at each other as if they existed in a world separate from the rest of the crew. Even in the grainy footage, their happiness radiated like a small sun. During a later interview with a large audience, the chemistry became impossible to ignore. Whenever Bai Lu responded to a question, Dylan watched her with an expression gentle enough to melt anyone. When he answered, she stared at him as if she could hear things between his words. At one point, Dylan accidentally let out a compliment so heartfelt that the crowd gasped. He described her as unforgettable. The room shook with screams. Bai Lu looked away, covering her face slightly with her hand as she laughed shyly. The clip stayed trending for days, simply because of the tone in his voice when he said it. One of the most symbolic moments came during the final weeks of filming. A night scene was taking place on a hillside decorated with warm lights. After shooting ended and the crew prepared to pack up, Bai Lu slipped while walking down the uneven ground. Dylan caught her instantly, pulling her into his arms with a force that showed genuine concern. He held her for longer than necessary, whispering something only she could hear. She nodded, smiling softly, and they walked down the hill together, his hand still supporting her arm. The staff member who recorded it said it was one of the most natural interactions they had ever seen between two leads. And then came the wrap-up ceremony, a night full of speeches and memories. People toasted, music played, yet somehow Dylan and Bai Lu kept finding their way back to each other. At one point, they stood off to the side, talking quietly. Their faces were close, their smiles tender. It was a moment with no audience in mind, no cameras aimed at them intentionally. Just two people sharing something too genuine to describe. Someone captured it from afar, and that video alone is one of the biggest reasons romance rumors never faded. Even after the drama ended, the connection lingered. Fans noticed similarities in their posts, matching tones, matching skies, matching moments of reflection that seemed too aligned to be coincidences. They also noticed how often they mentioned each other in interviews, always with fondness, always with a warmth that never sounded rehearsed. Every small glance, every shared laugh, every gentle gesture became part of a tapestry woven by millions of fans who saw something real in the spaces between their scenes. Was it friendship? Was it something deeper? No one knows for certain. But what everyone agrees on is simple. The moments between Dylan Wang and Bai Lu are the kind that do not fade from memory. They were tender. They were meaningful. They were powerful enough to make fans believe they had witnessed the beginning of a story still unfolding behind quiet smiles and unspoken warmth. And perhaps that is why their story remains unforgettable. Because some connections do not need confirmation. They reveal themselves in the smallest gestures, the softest looks, the shared silence only two hearts can understand. Their moments became a universe of their own, a world that fans stepped into with hope and wonder. A world where two stars shone a little brighter whenever they were near each other. A world where acting felt too real and reality felt too magical to ignore. And so the story continues, carried not by announcements, but by the thousands of moments that fueled the rumors. Moments that made people believe in hidden feelings, in quiet devotion, in unspoken bonds. Moments that made the world wonder, over and over again, whether Dylan Wang and Bai Lu were simply co-stars, or whether fate had written something far more extraordinary for them behind the scenes. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and share your thought.